What's up, my know-it-alls? Well, it is that time again. We're talking about, it's the know-it-all files. What are the know-it-all files? The know-it-all files are me proving that I know it all by answering the questions. I've gone into Quora and Reddit, and I've found really good questions. I already did some about, we've done some about Star Trek, we've done some about Doctor Who, and now we're doing some more Doctor Who ones. So hopefully you get a chance to ask a question in the comments section. If you like the videos we're putting out, do me a favor, please subscribe. It'll really help the channel. And also, I'd love to see your questions, so comment below, leave your questions for the next video, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Could the Doctor ever acceptably be played by an American in NuWho, in your opinion? Why or why not?
I hate the NuWho thing, but I get it. Okay, so could the Doctor be played truthfully by an American? I think he absolutely could. I think we're moving into an era where if he can be a woman, if he can be black, if he can be, anything, any mix that he's never been before, which by the way, he should have always been able to be. Then yes, absolutely, he could be quote unquote an American. And I know exactly how you do it. You have him the same way he was when he was Peter Capaldi, how he was talking about, oh, look at his eyebrows, these are cross eyebrows. Okay, and he was Scottish, very Scottish. Then I think you absolutely can have him be, and have him talk about it, make fun of it. Could it be a famous American actor? Absolutely not. I don't think it could at all. Any more than it's ever been a famous British actor. These were British actors who existed and whatnot, but they've never been quote unquote like Idris Elba. I can't see playing the Doctor because his star's too high. And I feel like you need someone who's a little more humble and a little more grounded to be able to step into the role and really kind of embrace it and let that become this thing that kind of propels them forward. Well, and again, don't get me wrong, Jodie Whittaker's coming. Jodie Whittaker's probably the highest profile actor that isn't predominantly a British actor, meaning he does stuff elsewhere, obviously. And so, yes, I think it has to be played by an American, if Captain Jack didn't exist, someone like Jack Harkness, or someone like, John Barrowman. John Barrowman is an American actor who does primarily British roles. He's been in many, many things over there, and so that, I think that's how it would have to happen. It would have to. Or you wait a chunk of time, you wait like 6-7 years, and then you have someone like a Christopher Eccleston, but an American version, and then you can have your famous guy who comes in for one season to reboot it up again. But for the most part, sure, he could totally be American. But I think he's American. I don't think he becomes American and then suddenly all his adventures are in the US. I think he becomes American and his adventures continue to stay in the UK. And he's got to now explain where he's from and why he's this or that or the other, and which I think would be great, especially if you could get him trying to pretend to have a British accent and he's bad at it as in that form. That'd be so funny. I'd be totally down. So yeah, next question.
In the new Doctor Who episode Legends of the Sea Devils, Yaz and 13th had the chat, which is Yaz's heartbreak, as 13th mentioned she has a wife, putting Yaz into the I could but I can't friend zone. So who is the Doctor's wife?
River Song. I mean, the Doctors had, there have been others. The Doctor's been married before, other wives, I'm sure. In fact, some from the old series, I'm sure we even know some names. But for me, when you ask the question, when you talk about the Doctor's wife, I only think of River Song. Period. That's why her gravesite is so close to his in Trenzalore. So yeah, man, I think the Doctor's wife is River. Hello? Okay. Come on. I don't even know if there's any more answer to that. It's amazing. That entire storyline. I made Baby Know It All watch just that, and my wife watched just that story. And by that I mean we started with the Shadow Library or whatever, and then in through all the others, and all the way up to the very end when, as Peter Capaldi, they go to the singing towers or whatnot, and it's a beautiful story. It is a beautiful story that I don't know is matched by many things in science fiction. Yeah. Next question.
Would Star Trek fans react the same way to Jennifer T. Kirk, as Doctor Who fans have reacted to Jodie Whittaker being cast as the 13th Doctor?
Okay. This is a very good question. I like that we've asked it. Would Star Trek fan, oh God, Jennifer T. Kirk. First off, I don't know that Jennifer is the name. I mean, maybe Jamie T. Kirk. Any version of James that sounds like James. I don't know Jennifer, because Jennifer's usually considered the female version of John. Whatever. Tangent. Sorry. ADD. The difference is you've never seen Captain Kirk regenerate. So I believe, I can't tell from the question whether there was a tone or whether it was being snarky, but it's a question that to me sounded snarky. Would Star Trek fans react the same way to Jennifer T. Kirk as Doctor Who fans have reacted to Jodie Whittaker? Jodie Whittaker was a casting choice. First off, I don't know many people who were mad about that. There was a small sect of people that I heard about. For the most part, all the Doctor Who fans in circles I travel in were very excited. Heck, I was very excited. And so to me, that questions a non-starter from that perspective. And I also feel like these are two very, let's take that off the table, that whole issue of that off the table. Then what you're stuck with is, these are two very different circumstances. The Doctor regenerates all the time. Captain Kirk never did. So you're talking about an actual gender-bending reboot. That question would require the reboot of the entire Star Trek universe, whereas Doctor Who on a regular basis switches doctors. Again, they're apples and grapes. They're not even in the same ballpark. So, matter of fact, they're apples and tomatoes. Other than the fact that they are both red, they are very different fruit. So, yeah, comment below. Let me know. I'd love to know what you think, what your thoughts are. But I feel like that's a question purposely trying to be inflammatory, but it's kind of doing it wrong because the example it's using doesn't stand the mustard. Mustard doesn't hold up. There you go.
Now that Russell T Davies is back to Doctor Who, what do you expect to see? What do you wish for him to do?
Okay. I'm very much excited for what Russell T Davies is going to do. I think I actually answered this last episode, something like it. But so what I'm excited for is in an interview we talked about, again, in the same video, I'll put a card up here. The video where he discusses Marvel and Star Wars and how by now we should have the Adventures of the Rani, or we should have, any number of versions of Doctor Who floating around, specials and series that involve two doctors, a two doctors series where it's like 6-7, where it's 6 episodes like Moon Knight was, or something real tight and concise, or even Jo Martin getting her own Fugitive Doctor series of 8 episodes or whatever. But the idea that you could create a cinematic universe, a conjoined together, interconnected Doctor Who-niverse is absolutely, I think, what I'm excited for. I want to see Torchwood back. I would love to see them give me some kind of a companion, series where it's all about the companions and what they're doing to protect Earth, or give me Unit. I mean, literally, there's so much room for Unit to suddenly get its own procedural, which I think would be great. So lots and lots of things. Heck, let's go back, baby. Give me a prequel series to the Doctor. I wrote a short story that was I called it The First Doctor. And the entire premise was, it was about him, the Master, and somebody else who was going to maybe ended up becoming the Rani or something. But you see them graduate. Well, no, you see them as children first, go before the schism, and then eventually as they go up in the academy or everything else, you get to see them choose their names. And then we even go, but the 3 of them steal a TARDIS first. And this is supposedly, in my story, what brought them to eventually become, what eventually brought the Doctor to be curious in the future when he's later on as an older man. And it was sort of a prequel idea, and I think you can actually do a thing where it's like the First Doctor and it's his adventures as a young man, and you do it Smallville style. And it doesn't have to be a matter of, you're rewriting everything and whatever else. No, not necessarily. But I feel like what you get is you definitely take the opportunity to have some fun with it. Show us early Time Lord, the Time Lord world and everything else, and really delve into some of that stuff. I think you could do a really good, I think you could Smallville it, and it would be really, really good. So, yeah.
Could the Q Continuum from Star Trek survive the last Great Time War from Doctor Who?
Wow. That is a very complicated question. I am going to say, okay. You got to break this down. Got to break it down. Let's break it into its parts. First, we're assuming Q can hop universes, and I've already established in a previous episode of this thing that as far as I'm concerned, in my head canon, Q is a lot like Marvel Comics and the Infinity War, and the Infinity Gauntlet. And the Infinity Gauntlet in the comic books, it only works in its own native universe. There's a whole thing where Earths are colliding, and the Illuminati tries to use the Infinity Gauntlet to avert a disaster, but ultimately it doesn't work because what it's trying to exert its energy on is not from that universe. Same thing with Q. Okay, so those are the rules. We're establishing the rules right here on the Know-It-All Nation. The rules are Q can't leave universes. That's why I took him out of the equation in the Star Wars story, in the Star Wars question a while back. So we're going to take that off the table for a second and say, okay, the Time War. Well, the Doctor goes to Earth. We've already seen a crossover with Star Trek and the Doctor. Ooh, I should do that. We should do that. The Know-It-All Files. I think we'll do an episode where I believe it was an 8-part IDW comic book series, and it featured Matt Smith's Doctor on The Next Generation. That would be awesome. That's both my fandoms together. Let's go. All right. But back to the question at hand. Yes, because Q exists in higher orders. The Q Continuum, I believe, would be consistent with the ancient species, the old races, the Eternals, the original, the Time Lords originally, the old Time Lords like Rassilon and that era of Time Lord. Definitely with the Eternals and all those people and whatnot. I believe the Q Continuum is at that level. I believe they would survive. Absolutely. So yes, I definitely believe they would survive. Next question.
Why are the last few seasons of Doctor Who so non-engaging compared to previous seasons?
Okay, I'm going to take this question with validity. I'm going to make the assumption that this question is not being asked in malice, because remember, your mileage may vary. I liked Jodie Whittaker in the role. I did not like the writing, and I did not like most of the episodes. Her interactions with the companions, I could take them or leave them. The Yaz and her will they, won't they, I never believed. And that's just me. Whereas, for instance, Rose and the Doctor, I always believed. And so anyways, I liked Yaz. I thought Yaz was very, very nice as a character. I thought she was cool in and of herself. I don't think you needed the complexity of a relationship that ultimately ended for nothing, that ended in nothing, in a zero sum. So, they weren't written the best, man. Let's just be frank. They had problems, very problematic at many points. Dialogue was stiff. The ratings were going down. It tried to chase too many things. It tried to be too many things. And as a result, I believe it was nothing. So it was just, yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it. I get it, and I feel for you because I'm in the same position. But again, we don't. I'm not bashing. Hey, if you liked the Jodie Whittaker era, bro, God bless you. Right on, absolutely, as you should. Because you have to understand, your fandom is my fandom. Together, we enjoy the things we love. So don't sweat that nonsense. If you love Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, and you love this whole Chibnall era, that's awesome. I didn't, but that's okay. Different strokes for different folks. Moving on.
Which of the following people would you rather be? The Doctor, Captain Picard, Harry Potter, or James Bond?
Man, you suck. Ah. What's the list? The Doctor, Captain Picard, Harry Potter, or James Bond? I don't want to be Harry Potter, because I'm not a white kid. I'm kidding. I don't want to be James Bond, because I don't like getting punched. If I was Captain Picard, that means I'm on the Enterprise. That means I'm in the Star Trek universe. But from the Doctor, I can go to both. I'm going to be the Doctor. Let's do this. Next question.
Is there a canon reason why the Doctor's TARDIS interior changes so drastically from classic to NuWho? I'm talking about how it goes from the small, classic roundels white design to the different NuWho modern designs.
So, I think no. I don't think there's a practical reason. I think because there was some little minor changes from here to there. I know Tom Baker had a few things that were quirky of his own, but yeah, for the most part, you're right. That front half, up until Paul McGann. In the 1980s movie, when the Eighth Doctor, it opens on this very Victorian era looking, almost like a study. Now, there are some people who say that that was actually a room on the TARDIS, but if you remember, as they're panning around, past the teacup, past the stuff, you get to this, and the center console's there, and it's all decked in wood. It's the entire place looks like a Victorian era library or study, and that's the first time we see such a radical change in the TARDIS. And I think it was a smart move. It was brilliant. And then starting to link. Okay. Let's go. I'm going to definitely have to put the 100% fan fiction speculation up here. Let's invent a reason, because I feel like there's enough information for us as sci-fi fans to be able to come up with something logical in universe. So I'm going to go with the logical in universe answer. The Doctor got bored. Because as you get older, little things you become not cranky, but you like things your way. The problem is when you're a whole new person, your way changes. Not to mention the fact the Doctor is who he is. He gets bored. The Fifth Doctor in the Children of Need special, when David Tennant's crossed over with him, said, "Oh, you changed the desktop." So he realized this is something that we do. Okay. And later on in the Doctor's wife, which is the one where the TARDIS goes is pushed into the body of a person, and you find out there's like 30 some odd control rooms saved, and the Doctor's like, "You can't save control rooms that don't exist yet," and she's like, "I can, because it's TARDIS folded in time." So yeah, there you go. Let me see what else. Well, no, you know what? We're gonna call it for now. There you go. Now you know if knowing is half the battle, you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. So I can't wait, man. Let's do these again. I really enjoying these questions. Submit your questions down below in the comment section, or if you want to, you can go on Quora. Eventually, I'm gonna find it. If you want to just kind of hashtag Mr. Know-It-All, and I'm gonna start following all that hashtag over there and sort of finding more and more questions. But yeah, let's do this. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all.